I'm recording this in the past. I have something to feed you, Andre.
Well, I'll be. That's a brilliant ember you've got there.
Yes, indeed.
All my years in the trade, that might be the finest.
Oh, this more than all the others.
You leave that ember with me. I'm just an old smith. I'd give my left arm for a gem like that.
So even though he does shit like dark embers and whatnot, he loves this one more than any other.
Thank you, mightily, for that. Now, just leave the rest to me. Andre Ymastora gets the job done.
Now that we've gotten his sexual thrill out of the way, I can finally get back to farming. Farming all these dark race and dragons so that I can upgrade all my materials. That way I can prepare for the next episode. Something I forgot in the last episode. But oh well. Oh well. I will see you in the future. Okay, here's a proper hello. Here's a proper hello. That was in the past, and now this is still in the past. I'm going to record another part of this in the future, but there's a few things that I wanted to get out of the way before I continue dicking around as I want to do. I have since farmed the shit out of Dark Race and Dragons. I got all the dragon scales that I need, and I got all the, I finally got another slab. So I had 3 in total, which allowed me to upgrade 3 weapons, which was my rule of doing that before I started upgrading everything else. And I did that after that. And then I went ahead and upgraded a set of armor. So I got 1 set of armor upgraded, and I got 3 weapons upgraded, which is what I'm trying to say. So, now that I've done that, I went ahead and upgraded everything else. So now everything is up to its maximum, as far as the things that I actually have. And you will note that things like Havels and stone armor and so on do not upgrade at all. At all. But that, in addition to all the weapons, have been completely upgraded, so now I can switch between them freely to try to show off everything possible. And another thing you will note... Oh, I should have equipped everything of this set while I was thinking about it. Damn it. But I've also added in... Yeah, that's good, because it's mostly this. This is the Elite Cleric Armor. Some of you, I imagine quite a few of you, have never actually seen this before, because it is not actually available in the game. You have to cheat it in. They are not unbalanced armors. I mean, it's completely balanced as far as the game's stats are concerned. Here are these stats on the main chest piece. It's completely reasonable. Why it's not in the game, I don't know. Haircut actually uses this armor. And there is another set of armor that I'm probably not going to bother equipping, called the Mage Smith Coat. And it's just the other set that's not available, but it also is well balanced, so there's no reason for it not to be in the game. So if you want it, cheat it in, because it's not like... I guess some people, oh, it's not in, so it doesn't count. Whatever, I don't care. I don't care. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and read out the descriptions of these two, and then we'll get down to business. Mage Smith Coat, plus 10. Coat worn by proper Magesmith who studied at Vinheim Dragon School. Magesmiths learn their craft alongside sorcerers, but apply their sorcery to forging weapons with magic embers. Like our nun friend, our frenemy down in New Londo, Rickard. And I think that's what he wears. So, in regards to that, there's really nothing overly special about that. It's just saying, it's just a description denoting that this is stuff that is worn by people that aren't necessarily sorcerers in the sense of they're fighters, but mage-smiths. People that know sorcery and do nothing except for make mage-related bullshit. They deal with embers, basically. So that's it in regards to that. Let's see what Haircut's armor says. Armor worn by the warrior clerics of the Way of White, who are famous for being unyielding in battle. Among such armors, those that were black belonged to warrior clerics sent on missions, many of whom were high-level priests. So, our good friend Haircut, I'm just going to keep calling him that. He was apparently a warrior cleric that was sent on missions. What exactly that mission entails? Probably the reason why he was sent here is because he was sent here for the sake of clearing things out for people like Rhea, so that she could go on her own adventures in regards to trying to find the rite of kindling and so on. We really don't have much information other than that. But it is interesting that he would have been, if this is accurate, and of course this is not in the game, so we really can't know either way, that he would be a high-level priest. More specifically, a high-level warrior priest cleric. So there's that. That's his little backstory, as much as sense of it that you can make out of it. And that's it in regard to cheated in items. I love cheating in items. I love being an unscrupulous little asshole. Now, remember last time I was talking about the fact that we might be able to see the hole down to New Londo. And this would be the place as far as the alignment of the world goes. We looked at the model viewer in the prior episode. If we look all the way down, there is a big-ass hole there. But we will soon see that this does not make any sense as far as the way that we actually see the game world in-game. As far as the model alignment goes, this makes sense because up there would be the place where we exit from Andre's room, and we remember that if we look straight out there, that if we look straight down, that would be the area in which the actual model of New Londo shows up, and that would be where the hole is. But that makes no sense because if we go back through here, and I'm going to go kill a few of these drakes amongst a few other things, get revenge on these dickheads, then we will quickly see that it is actually impossible for that to exist the way that it does. Down we go. So long, mother and child statues, even though they're not actually holding a child, which is kind of interesting. The fact that they're obviously modeled after the same sort of mother or goddess. And I think even in the design works, concept art booklet, hardback, it just refers to her as the goddess. But you will see here... Actually, let's go ahead and clear this dick face out of the way, because I know he's going to be an asshole about this. Revenge! Revenge! Eat it! Just fucking eat it, you chode. Yeah, just go ahead and bite me, I don't care. My armor's so strong at this point, I can just take a hit and it won't even matter. But, as you remember, whenever we were inside New Londo, we would look up and the hole was sort of almost right above this gate. And we can't quite see it from here, and I don't think that even if I move up, we're going to have a very good... Can't quite do it. I think that even... Let's get my bird watchers. Let's get the old ass watchers out and see if we can get a better look at it that way. Probably not. It probably won't go up any further than it does now. No, it doesn't. But it would be kind of up there above where the cliff facing is, and you can kind of see up there. So it would kind of be on top of this cliff. So the idea of the hole actually being over there doesn't make any sense, even though that's what the model viewer told us that it would be located in. So just don't worry about it. I guess this is the lesson. But you can see over there. Up here we can see the sort of aqueduct area. Let's see. Let's try to make sense of this for a second. If we go up there, we go with the Firelink Shrine. So that's probably the aqueduct that we climb over that leads over into the Berg and also has a... what's his face? Domhnall. Domhnall sitting on top of it, which also doesn't make a lot of sense. So this is, you know, I'm just trying to point out that the way that the game world is organized doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay. Now let's go ahead and take my review. This is the guy that kind of cost me my precious 1,000 souls very early on in the game. And it is pretty easy to die to this guy, just because, you know, you're in this tight little corridor. I don't even care. I don't even care, bitch. You can't do shit to me. It is interesting that these guys breathe lightning. And it's interesting because what are the dragons weak against? Lightning. They're weak against lightning. That's what peels these stone scales that keep them immortal off of their body, if that makes them mortal or not. Who the fuck knows? We've been over this many times. But that's how you do it. And for some reason, these guys breathe lightning, even though that they are descendants of dragons themselves, supposedly. Even though dragons would probably not actually have any children if they were actually just eternal beings. Which, once again, may be an indication that the story that we're told in the very opening just might be a bunch of horseshit. And, by the way, in here, I might have shown this off before, but there's a humanity on that guy that I've already picked up before. But yeah, there's a tiny little bitty hole. A lot of people run past it, never even know it's there. Isn't it adorable? Who exactly this guy is, I have absolutely no idea. He's just here just because. Just because. And let's see, there's a couple other things that I want to do. I'm going to do a cutaway after we get through going up here. But I remember that I rolled back because I was afraid of not showing this off. But I did not, in fact, as far as this game file is concerned, kill off the undead dragon just yet. But he is awake, and he is quite angry about it. Now, why exactly he is undead, as I've said before, being undead as far as dragons go, especially makes no sense. Because only human beings become undead because those are the things that have dark souls in them. Now you might say, well, maybe he just ate so many people that he has become undead. Sure, why not? Or maybe Nito made him undead. Or made him exist as a dead being. Because that's kind of what Nito does. Although he only seems to do it with humans and maybe gods. Although that's a bit of a stretch. General gist of it is, do not think too much about it. Now I'm going to show you, as far as fighting this guy goes, if you want to fight him in melee, that's a bad idea. Because he's just kind of a cheap little bitch. If you get it close enough range, he'll start puking up this shit at you, just like the guy in The Painted World of Almas did. Bleh. Now why exactly he's so perturbed about us being here, I don't know. But remember, all those guys right there, those are all the bodies of people that supposedly were from Astora. We found Astora shit on them. So maybe they were why were they even down here fighting him? Like, what business? Maybe they just saw him and were like, hey, it's a fucking dragon, let's kill him! That would be awesome. Who knows? But maybe that's the reason why he doesn't particularly care for human beings. But he does vomit this shit out all over the place. And if you get right here... Oh, he's not going to do it. But if you get a little bit too close, if he'll do it... There you go. Oh, shit, that hurts. If you do that, he'll do that claw attack. And you can't really dodge it particularly well. So as a result, really, most people will just come down here with poison arrows. You know, do I even have... Yeah, I do. Okay. It's been a while. They just take out their precious little adorable poison arrows and just shoot him over and over again. And you think him being undead or zombified or whatever he is... Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That it would be impossible to poison his body. And maybe it's not. It's been a while since I've done this. Are these even poison arrows? He should be poison. Huh. Maybe he doesn't take poison. It's been so long since I've thought about this. And let's just go ahead and use him up. Poison, poison. Yeah, I guess he doesn't take poison buildup. I seem to remember him doing this, but apparently not. Oh well. But yeah, you just shoot him with arrows until he dies. And that's how you usually do it. Let's go ahead and just try to hit him a few more times just for the hell of it. And try to get myself killed. Because that'll be fun. Come over here and slap me again. That might... There you go, yeah. Adventure. Adventure! Okay, I will admit I kind of intentionally did that for the sake of it. By the way, the drop rate on those drakes over there, as far as their little dragon skills go, is really absurdly low. But I think that's like the only place that you can actually get them this early on. You can get it, you know, you can get 99 of them whenever you first start the game, if you want to farm for the next 15 years. But it's like, after every single run, I only get one like every 10 or 15 runs. It took absolutely forever to get enough to upgrade a single weapon. So my 3-weapon rule as far as upgrade paths go, I really cheaped out on that one. I upgraded the Dragon Tooth, and then after that it's like, fuck it, I'm done with this. Anyways, one hit away from our little darling over here. So long, Dragon Chan. I killed the undead dragon. It makes no sense, but whatever. Okay, let's pick up these things. And I need to go buy some shit in the Undead Burg. So there's one thing I might do in regards to that. So I will do another cut. I shouldn't be doing so many cutbacks. The last episode was a real nightmare because of all the cutting and stuff that I had to do. I had to do like 8 of them in between all the various file parts that I had. Okay, anyways, on we go to adventure! And by the way, just in case you think that the Valley of Drakes is down this way, I wanted to make sure you got a good look at it. It kind of just leads off into nowhere. It's so blurry and like poorly rendered because of the way the engine works that you can't really see what the hell's going on down there anyways. I guess I can mod it to make the clarity on distant objects better, but whatever, I can see the seams of the skybox over there in the distance. I think I'll just deal with it. Isn't that right, Xena? Isn't that right, Dumb Hall? You don't know fucking thing. You don't have anything for me, do you? You don't have jack shit, little fucking twat. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna buy some shit and I'll see you guys in a second. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I'm going to be going to the Duke's Archives today. because it seems like that was requested a bit more than anything else whenever I asked you guys where I should be going. So I thought to round off a bunch of all this little exposition of destroying drakes and dragons and undead dragons and wyverns and whatnot, I would revisit my old friend, the Hellkite Wyvern, Hellkite Dragon, whatever the hell you want to call him, the Hellkite bitch-ass bitch, and take care of him before we head on any further. Because, quite frankly, I'm sick of him existing. I can't abide his presence in my world. So he must die. There's a couple ways that can make this fight a little bit easier, because the reason why this fight is difficult is because he's a spammy little bitch that does nothing except for breathe fire and fly. And whenever you get anywhere near him, guess what he's going to do? He's going to jump up the air, breathe fire at his feet, or fly and breathe fire across the entire bridge and fly away to safety. Because he is a fucking coward. Now you can use Flash Sweat and that will reduce fire damage, or you can use Power Within and that will increase your damage and try to accelerate his death even further. Now personally I prefer Power Within in this case, because he's going to take about, in your first playthrough, if you're using a big strong dumb weapon, he's probably going to take about 3 hits to kill with Power Within. Whereas with Flash Sweat, it's, you know, if you get stun locked, you're stun locked. It's really not going to help you either way. And I don't think that you can use both at the same time. Let's test that out real fast. Pretty sure, see, yeah, it's grayed out, so you can't do anything with that. Okay. You can just sit and wait, and he'll eventually come down of his own accord. Or you can pluck his little ass with the arrow, and he'll come down that way. Shablamses! We've already taken off about half of his health, and one more should do it. So long, bitch! Fucking cunt. Little cheap-ass little slut. God, I hate dragons. Such fucking cowards. But anyways, after you kill him, you get a measly 10,000 souls. Complete waste of time. Anyways, the path is now free of the stink of his existence for the rest of eternity, so the world has been done a great service. Now, one more thing to take care of down in Blighttown before we proceed on to the Duke's Archives. And the thing that we actually need to take care of is our friend Sigmire up here, who, as you can see, even though we've just got through beating to the 4 kings, he's still here, so we gotta do something with him. What is it that you had to say again, Sigmire?
There you are. I'll be heading down below shortly. There's nothing worthwhile up above. No worries. Venturing is my life. I'm prepared for the worst.
Adventuring is his life. And even though we have already beaten Blighttown, we've already rung both bells, we already opened Sen's Fortress, and Sigmire here has already been to Anor Londo, he's decided there's nothing worth having up there. I need to find adventure somewhere else. He's not going down there to ring the bells. He's not going down there to defeat Quelaag or anything like that. He's just looking for shit to do. He's looking for some way to have an adventure. And so the only way that we're actually going to progress this story any further is if we manage to find him down there while he's gallivanting around. And we could go straight down into Blighttown, which is where we're going to find him, and somehow he teleports ahead of us. So let's go ahead and do that. Who's that in the distance? Why, it's Sigmire! And in a very unusual location, because you will note, this one, guys, that he is right next to the big-ass tree that supposedly that human beings and gods and so on may have come out of. More importantly, it is more to the point, it's where you eventually go down to the Great Hollow, which is this tree, and eventually Ash Lake. So he is right smack dab right next to it. And it is kind of unusual that you have to go down here to trigger his appearance in Izalith, and then he comes back to the exact same location to go all the way back down here. So maybe he looked over and was like, wonder what that is? And he got to this point early on, but didn't have quite what it took in order to get all the way down there. And once he got to Izalith and failed there as well, which we'll get to in a bit, then he decided there was one last adventure he could have had here if he had managed to go all the way. Giggity. So we need to get over here without getting poisoned, which is impossible, because I'm not going to bother. Oh, lovely poison. Really, this is my least favorite little stretch, because you can't get through it without getting poisoned unless you just absolutely stack poison resistance. Fucking horseshit. Anyways, that's another tale. So yeah, he's asleep. Asleep standing up makes no sense. One of those Japanese tropes. The other Japanese trope that's related to this that I actually do enjoy is dying on your feet. the guy that dies standing up. That is incredibly stupid, even more so than sleeping standing up. But I love it anyways, because it's so badass. One of the few things from Japan, I shit on them all the time for the stuff that makes no sense. But I like that one, it's nice. Okay. Wake up!
Oh ho! Excuse me, I was so absorbed in thought I just drifted away. You see, I'm actually in a bit of a fix. I've made it this far, but I'm short on antidote moss for the trip back. By my knighthood, I'm ashamed to ask, but can you spare a few scraps of moss?
He only needs one, technically, to get his way over there, considering the armor that he's in. Are there any other places? Not really. This is really the only place where you kind of you have to be poisoned. Other than maybe the little stretch in between the boss and the bonfire and something. But even then, you can go around by fighting through the barbarians. Anyways, it is unusual with his storyline that he's gone through all these trials. Like, he fought his way into the Temple of the Gods. He fought his way into heaven. And now he goes down to the Blight Town, and he can't get out because he doesn't have any antidote. And it seems kind of anticlimactic to me. To me, it seems like that his appearance down here is really out of place. Like, it should have been earlier, or maybe even later, because of his appearance in Ash Lake. It's just one of those little things. Anyway, I really liked how whenever he woke up, his buckler and Zweihander just kind of appeared. They just materialize out of nothing. Especially his buckler seems to grow out of his arm whenever he equips it. Really strange. One of those rarely seen animations, too. You really don't think about it too much. But yeah, it just kind of grows out of there. Cute little Sigmire-chan. Alright, let's shove this down his mouth, and then we'll be off.
Fantastic.
Amazing!
A saint you are.
Oh, yes, I am.
This Knight of Katarina expresses his deepest gratitude. I shall not forget this. Please, take this. A symbol of my appreciation.
Unfortunately, he will not forget this, because if he had, then maybe he would have survived a little bit longer. Just another step down into his descent into, not really madness, not really a descent into holification either. Unlike, I've gotten into the latest video has only been up one day. I'm going to record the majority of this, probably a couple of days from now. But I wanted to get this shit out of the way first, so that I could go on to a few other things in regards to farming and just dicking around and wasting a bit of time. Because I just got through my cartoon and I want to relax for a couple of days before I start doing commissions and things like that. But what the hell was I talking about? I got too deep there for a second. But, I guess it wasn't important. We got a Pierce shield, whatever the hell it was that I was talking about. This is the little shield that he has there. We got this. I got into some discussions in the videos about, in regards to holification, in regards to Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1. In Dark Souls 1, as I've said before, they don't really... You don't see people descend into hollowing. They just kind of vanish, and then they reappear later and they're hollow. Like Sigmire right now, if this was Dark Souls 2, he would be going, "Oh, who are you again? I can't remember you. You know, I'm losing my sense of self." And Lucatiel shit. Now, I actually like that. I do kind of like that. The thing about Dark Souls 2 is that even though they kind of misunderstand what hollowing actually is, they do portray it in a way that makes more sense, rather than them just showing up and then vanishing and being hollow for no reason. The idea is that whenever you die, you lose a little bit of yourself, and then you reappear, and maybe you're not quite all there again. Which may be what's happening to Lucatiel, although with Lucatiel it seems to be more like it's just passing over time. Like you eventually hollow out for no good reason. You just do. Which I don't agree with, and I think it conflicts with the how hollowing works in the first place. Which is why I said in the prior part that the developers of 2 did not seem to understand how exactly the things work in this game. Anyways, that's another thing entirely. But in regards to him, this would be the point at which he would probably be kind of hollow. But later on, as we'll see, he's fine for the time being, and he'll just reappear hollow later on. One of those sources of contention that kind of drive a wedge between people that think about the lore in the first game in regards to how you think about the lore in the second game. Anyways, Pierce Shield, yes.
Well, our fates do seem entwined, don't they?
Yes, it's all very sexual.
This, too, is the will of Lord Gwyn.
Nervous laughter intensifies. Yeah, so one little bitty drop of dialogue there. He believes in Lord Gwyn. He is an inherent to the light. He actually believes in the Age of Fire. So, he might be our mortal enemy, who can say... Do you have anything else for us? Yes.
Like quicksand in there.
It really is. It's really shitty. Tell me about it, buddy. Got anything else for us? Nah, nothing else. Okay. So he agrees with us. Blighttown is shitty, but we disagree with him. Lord Gwyn, it's not really working out for us, buddy. It's not really working out for us. Let's go down here and take a quick look at the Pure Shield, and then I'll finally cut off, and then I'll cut back in a few days. As this is... The first part was me from the far distant past, and this is me from the future of the past, and he'll be me from the future of the present. Oh, it's so deeply confusing. I love it. I fucking love it. Fuck those fucking ants. I won the war. Yes! Or he won the war. I don't know what's going on anymore. Pure Shield. Shield of certain Knights of Katarina, used in attacks with a large protrusion in the center, can be used as a thrust weapon. So yeah, you can use this. This is another thing I'm going to have to upgrade. Doesn't really work as advertised, though. You can use it as a shield, of course. Or you can... The parry animation turns into this... stab, yeah. Something I will point out in regards to... I was talking about parrying daggers in the new Londo video a couple parts back. As some people, of course, pointed out once again that it was something that actually happened in real life. People would... And, of course, I discussed it in the comments, and I've discussed it before, that you need to have an offhand whenever you're fighting. You just don't walk around with your bare hands. If you don't have a shield, you use a dagger or a rapier or whatever you have access to. But a shield is always going to be better. And so people will say, well, with a, with a dagger, for example, you can perform a thrusting attack. But shields like this is historically accurate. Shields like this did in fact exist. You can make a shield that is just like this, and you can use it in the same exact way. And also, I will point out, and this was also a thing that people historically did, if you're using a smaller buckler, you can also hold a dagger in your hand at the same time. So you can get the best of both worlds. You can use a dagger to deflect blows, and also use the dagger that's in your hand to stab people in the junk, or whatever you're doing with them, at the same time. And usually whenever people were talking about using rapiers as offhands and things like that, they were referring to what people did at, say, festivals and carnivals, or the rich upper class would sometimes do this to show off. It was just a way of just demonstrating how awesome you were, that you weren't even using a shield, you were using two weapons. Which people use that as proof that it can be done, but at the same time, they're also admitting that it doesn't work, because the whole point of doing it that way is the person doing it, historically, showing off, saying, this is not supposed to work. It's stupid. What I'm doing is asinine, but I'm doing it anyways because I'm such a fucking badass. And that was the whole point of doing it. And of course, Asia is a whole other thing, because Asia is Asia. They're weirdos. Anyways, that's enough of that. So long, Sigmar. Poison Swap, yes, it's like quicksand in there. So the next time we're going to see him is going to be quite a few parts from now. We won't see him in a bit, so say farewell for the... Man, he looks really fucking sexy right there in that pose. Just showing off the ass. Hell yes, Sigmar, work that shit. Work that shit, baby. Alright, I'll see you guys in the Duke's Archives in a second. Whoosh! Okay, welcome back, me. I'll go ahead and tell you guys right... This is like 2 days later, so there's going to be a severe tonal shift. Because, quite honestly, I'm not in a very good mood right now. And I'm kind of playing just to try to give myself something to do right now. Take my mind off having to do other things. Okay. A few things to note. I'm actually beginning the episode proper right now. A few things to note, first off. Let's go ahead and look at the Dark Hand description. I definitely have plenty to choose from at this point, because I've been farming those guys for quite some time now. And I haven't gotten rid of my last batch of these damn things. Alright, taking our pick of the Dark Hand. Dark Hand, the Dark Race, because I didn't do this last time. Incited by Kaith, or... I know, I prefer Kaith. I really do. Use the power of the Dark Soul to absorb humanity, an art shared by this weapon, which also acts as a special shield. The Ancients particularly could sap the humanity of even a replete saint in the blink of an eye. So kind of some interesting implications in regards to this. One, this is not actually... This is this is not a power that's within you. It's a physical weapon. It's kind of, I don't know, it's almost like you're holding a flame. It sort of has the appearance of a flame. Actually, let's go ahead and... damn it, it's not even on the... Yeah, let's go, it's near this. It's up here, I think. Yeah, okay, that's where everyone goes. So you see, whenever we equip it, it doesn't change anything. It's, you know, it's still your physical hand. Your hand doesn't start glowing or anything like that, which I appreciate. And by the way, yes, I'm invisible and silent today. I figured I'm really sick of looking at that stupid Havel's ring. Pretty much everyone uses the Havel's ring because weight distribution plays such a vital role in this game. So you tend to see it on everyone's builds. But I decided, you know what, let's try something different. But whenever you use it, it's just standard punch attacks. But whenever you R2, you use your special little hand grabby thing. Let's get a better look at that. Hand lights up and you grab for some titties or whatever exactly you're doing. And then whenever you get a hold of them, if they are an NPC or a human player, then you will start to absorb humanity from them. In much the same way that the Dark Race do to you, if they grab a hold of you. So, give me a second. Let's go back up to you. So in regards to this, the Ancients particularly could sap the humanity of even a replete saint in the blink of an eye. It seems to indicate that humanity is linked with goodness in some ways. And I think what it's actually kind of touching upon right here is that, take the Firekeepers, for example. The Firekeepers have quite a lot. They have a very bountiful amount of humanity, don't they? And usually, this is not always the case, obviously, with someone like her over here. You know, if you can see out of the corner of my eye here. The Dark Moon Nidus. With someone like her, this is not always the case. But usually the Firekeepers are associated with being very saintly and good. You know, they're usually very good people. And that seems to have some sort of association with humanity itself. So, it seems to be indicating that the Ancients would draw power from a Firekeeper. Maybe that's what happened to the original Firekeeper of Firelink Shrine, if there was one. Maybe they went up there and absorbed all the humanity from her, or him, I suppose it's possible. Although we never see any indication that there's any male Firekeepers. And that's what necessitated actually having, what did she call herself? Anastasia. That's what it took me forever to figure out what exactly, because I couldn't remember it. But anyways, that's the gist of that. Is there anything else to mention in regards to this? Just that it takes a while apparently to absorb humanity from someone. So, and there also seems to be an indication that at some point in history, like in the past, the Ancients were somehow better at doing this, which. Actually, you would think that it would be the other way around. If this is associated with the Dark Soul in any way, then you would think that as time goes on and the power of the Light Soul fades, then it would actually be easier for you to absorb power from someone. But that seems to be the reverse. Maybe they're just trying to be mystical and philosophical about it, who knows. Okay, come here, little notes. What else do I have to say? The Lord Soul that we got from the Four Kings fight, I did note that it says the Lord Soul of one of the Four Kings, which I found interesting. Something I actually thought about later that I did not mention is that there is, I guess, the possibility that it actually is the Lord Soul of one of the Four Kings. And that, what happened is, eventually the Four Kings turned on themselves, and one of them ended up winning out over the other three, and he or she now has absorbed their power into the same soul as well. And again, I will point out that you in theory, fight 4 or even 5, or I don't know if there's a cap on it exactly, but you can go up even further than that. So consequently, you can, it seems to be implying that there aren't necessarily 4 kings, perhaps. So maybe it is that the 4 kings fight, you're not actually fighting all 4, maybe you're just fighting whatever is the one that's left, because they all look exactly the same. So maybe that's what happened. That's one theory that I just came up with, and I thought I would mention it, because I thought it was kind of neat. It's kind of cute. Let's see. There's been a couple of moments of confusion in the comments in regards to hollowing. I've mentioned this before, I just wanted to go ahead and mention it once again. But hollowing is just lacking a soul. It's not necessarily associated with the dark soul. Hollowing is just whenever you are hollow. You are a pygmy that does not have a soul inside of them to make them non-hollow. That's why they chose that word, hollow. It's just that humans do that naturally. So in theory, if you can remove the soul from anything that has a soul, you will make it a hollow vessel. So whenever people are pointing out, you know, like a Gwyn, for example, Gwyn went hollow, effectively, because he's burning off his own soul inside of the first flame to keep it lit. And that's what's making him hollow. He doesn't do it naturally. So whenever I mention that in regards to the Dark Soul, I'm referring, of course, to undeath, which is a different mechanic. Being undead does not make you hollow. It just enables you to become hollow over time as a result of your associated deaths. And one last thing to note right off the bat, transit curses make armor work against ghosts. That's what was happening. That's one of those things that I heard so long ago that I completely forgot that was the thing. But yeah, naturally the little ghosties ignore your armor and things like that completely. The transient curses, or a curse in general, will cause your body to, you know, actually work against them, and as a result, things like armor will actually be effective against the ghosts. So that's what was happening. Thank you, sheet of paper. You can go away now. Farewell! Right into my big pile of chips that I need to throw out. It's a big pile, it's just like 2 things. Okay, we need to talk to the Dark Moonitis. I think she has a couple more lines of dialogue, and then we will move on.
So you have received a revelation. Very auspicious. I hope for the best. I pray that through you, her wish will be granted.
So there she is referring, of course, to our meeting with Guinevere. She doesn't actually address Gwendolyn. So maybe she isn't even aware that the illusion actually exists. I don't know. Once we dispel the illusion, I guess we'll find out, won't we? If we do that certain thing. But, yeah, she's referring to that. The revelation that we got, it wasn't really much of a revelation, was it? She just tells us, go inherit my father's work. They don't tell you that you have to kill Gwyn or anything like that. They don't mention... That's one of the things about Frampt. And Frampt and Gwendolyn and so on, they never actually mention that you will have to physically fight him, or that he is hollowing because his soul is, you know, burning away from his body. They don't mention that. They just say you need to... They try to make it as colorful as possible. You need to inherit his throne. You need to ascend to the same position as the king of all gods. Trying to make it seem as memorable and desirable as possible.
Have you heard of Seath the Scaleless? In legend, he turned against the ancient dragons. He became Lord Gwyn's confidant, was granted dukedom, and was allowed to pursue his research. At the Regal Archives, he immersed himself in research on scales of immortality. The one thing that he did not have, but his very research drove him mad. The archives became a dungeon, a place for sinister experiments. Now, nobody dares even approach the Duke's forbidden archives. It looms over this land high atop the mountain. But I should warn against even an approach.
So that's what we're going to be doing today. All the things that she just warned us about, forget that. We're going to go in there. So, pretty much, I think I pretty much mentioned everything that she just got through mentioning. He, of course, was a traitor. He lacks the scales of immortality that make the stone dragons effectively neutral against life and death. And he is researching... this is probably the first time that they actually mention this. He is researching them because he wants them. But apparently, just finding them on the ground, taking them and just gluing them onto your body does not work for some reason. You know, just encasing yourself in a big, like a big coat pile of nothing but these dragon scales doesn't work, doesn't do a damn thing. So, Seath's experiments have, for some reason, been associated with them. It is interesting that he is abducting people. and experimenting them in this, what she referred to as a dungeon. Because how exactly does that link with the scales of immortality? Like, what good would experimenting on people actually have to do in regards to that? And we might speculate more on that in a bit. And I think that's all she has.
If you require
Because that's what the bonfire's for, stupid. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. And we might get one more thing out of her.
Go ahead. You may rest here. Even an undead requires repose.
That's it. Okay.
Now is the time.
I know, let me skip. Okay. Don't have to be chatty about it. Alright, now off we go to adventure within the Duke's archives. This was a... I really should not be doing this whenever I'm not in my right sorts. But it's either that or working on commissions, and right now I really do not feel like working on commissions. The downside to getting a bunch of, the downside to releasing to an animation is that I always get a sudden influx of messages and requests and people asking for commissions and stuff. By the way, I don't do commissions. I just don't. I have no time for it. And even before I actually had time, I decided against doing them because I actually despise doing commissions. Nothing against you guys, it's just me. You know, I don't like doing them. Hello. Oh, he actually survived. Good on you. Wow. Looks kind of green, this light. Okay. But up the stairs we go. But I don't take commissions, for anyone that's ever been wondering. I get emails from people all the time asking if I actually accept commissions. And sometimes even whenever I tell them no, I don't accept commissions, they'll send me information on anyways. Like, please reconsider. No, I'm not going to reconsider. I have way too much to do. Okay, this is a nice little viewpoint. This is a nice little viewpoint of Anne Orlando. It's pretty much everything that you've seen before, though. But one last look at the outside world before we go into the Duke's archives forever. One of the things that I like to do whenever I'm feeling, you know, down or anything like that, just go outside, just sit and look at it, stuff for a while. I can't really understand people that want to live in cities. I mean, what do? Just go to a park? Like a very artificial park with controlled environments and just trees planted in very specific spots and appreciate that? It has to be wilderness for me. It has to be something that's untamed. But oh well. Into the Duke's archives we go. Let's see. There's actually quite a few comments. This is probably the most disappointing thing about doing a recording whenever I'm not feeling up to it. Is that there was so much good discussion from the prior part. In part 20, I asked that you guys actually, rather than just butts and birds and bird butts, rather than just doing that, discuss some things this time around. And you guys did an exceptional job with that. There's, I'll talk about you weirdo, in a second. There was quite a lot of a very good discussion about that, and I wrote down quite a few comments that I want to get to in a second. But for the time being, yes, there's another armored boar down here. And yes, he is going to be a problem. Remember the last one that we fought? The only one that we've seen up to this point was near the Black Knight Tower that is also near the Sunlight Altar area. That's next to the Hellkite Dragon that we just got through killing. Forgot about that. And we killed him in a very not overly elegant way by luring him into a bonfire. Or, not a bonfire, but, you know, just an actual bonfire, not like a game mechanic bonfire. So actually dealing with him, these guys are always a problem. There's two of them down this hallway. They're a big fat bitch to have to deal with. Fucking hogs. Real life pigs, if you ever raise pigs, they are really stubborn animals. They're very intelligent, but they're also very stubborn. Kind of playful, too, actually. I actually kind of like pigs. They're a lot better than sheep. Sheep are assholes. Sheep are fucking assholes because they're so stupid. Sheep are really, really stupid. Whenever, like, religiously, whenever they refer to people as being sheep, that's what they're referring to. Because back then they knew exactly how sheep behave, and sheep are really, really stupid. In addition to being stupid, they're also incredibly stubborn about it. Hated raising sheep. Anyways, here's something or other. These things are kind of interesting and somewhat... actually, there's a comment that's sort of associated with this. Let's see if I can find it. I'll go ahead and skip. If I can find the thing. Apparently I'm not going to find the thing. I know it's here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. A comment by Louise Nananini. Oh my goodness. So if someone could, or so, excuse me. So if someone would go with the theory that Andre is son of Gwen, and his attraction of occult things, maybe the son of Gwen was part of that uprising. I wanted to sort of touch on that briefly because, yeah, that is kind of interesting. If originally in development, Andre was going to be the son of Gwen. He was going to be the lost first son of Lord Gwen. But that was eventually dropped, so now he's just a guy. But even if earlier in development he was a blacksmith and he still was a guy that dealt with occult weaponry, that would have been very interesting that the son of Gwen would be the guy that actually deals in occult weapons that are made for the purposes of killing the gods. I just wanted to mention that. But of course, as far as canon goes, since it's not represented in the game now, that's nothing. It's not an issue. But I wanted to briefly touch on that because I'm a really roundabout way of getting to this. But this statue, and more specifically, there is a reconstruction of the sunlit altar statue that we were at near the Hellkite Bridge. And you can see that same statue in Dark Souls 2, and I think the mod that I'm going to be linking to is actually using the model from Dark Souls 2. Although the Dark Souls 2 being the developers being the lazy assholes that they were, just reuse the same exact one in the same exact position as it was in Dark Souls 1, so it still counts. But this guy went in and kind of cleaned it off and reassembled the entire statue into a whole statue, repainted it, and so on. You can find a 360 degree rotation of it on YouTube, I believe. Guess I'll go ahead and link that. But I wanted to point out that the fully assembled, the guy that it looks like, is a statue of the firstborn son. And you will note that he looks nothing like anyone in the game at all. Like, not Andre, not Solaire, no one. Absolutely no one. He's just a guy. But it sort of almost looks like he has a very similar head, or at least I'm looking at this thing, to this lady right here. This is probably just a generic statue, to be honest, but it reminds me of it very loosely. It's probably mostly the headband. But I just wanted to briefly mention that. As far as the meaning behind these statues, there probably isn't much of any. Other than, it is kind of interesting that she's holding a flame. And if you think about it, Seath not the one that built this place. This place was most likely built for him, and this is the path leading up to it. So it is kind of interesting that they are holding out this single little bitty flame. It's still lit, of course. Maybe it has some sort of magical properties, who knows. Or maybe not. But it is interesting. Maybe I'll give that a little bit more thought than not at all in the future. But probably not, probably not. Let's go kill this stupid fucking boar. Or try, anyways. It is very easy to get yourself killed by these things. And normally, he would be rushing at me about now. But since I'm wearing the Ring of Fog and the Slumbering Dragon Crest ring, more specifically the Ring of Fog in this case, then he's minding his own beeswax. The Slumbering Dragon Crest ring will mask your sound, so it's a little less important than the Ring of Fog happens to be. Well, I guess it kind of depends on the situation, of course. But usually I would use the Ring of Fog over the Slumbering Dragon Crest ring, because in most of the areas of the game, you're going to have to approach something like this, for example. You have to approach it from the front anyways. And see, we do almost no damage to him whatsoever. And even if you have your shield raised, he will just ignore that because he wants to. And he'll just go ahead and attack you anyways, because he's a saucy little bitch like that. So, probably the easiest way of dealing with these guys is to use pyromancy on them. And he is quite dangerous. You know, you need to give these guys quite a bit of room. Try to bait them into doing an attack, and see, just a couple of those and you'll be just fine indeed. And in case you, we'll probably get this stupid thing. I hate this fucking helmet. But in case you didn't notice, I was doing like, I forget what the number was, but it's a very low amount of damage. It's like 20 or 40 or something like that. It would have taken absolutely forever to deal with him. Although, I might be able to, I don't know, maybe a better weapon. By the way, I went ahead and, I decided to go ahead and cheat in the Black Knight weapons, because you can get them as random drops from each of the Black Knights that you encounter in the game. And I know that the only other time that I'm going to be able to get that is at the very, very end of the game, and I didn't want to have to wait until then to actually show these things off. Let's see. Let's go ahead and, well, let's actually, hold on. Let me go ahead and equip a hammer while I'm thinking about it. Mace will do just fine, I guess. Because I want to see how much bonus damage I actually get against that thing's armor. In case I'll probably die anyways. Black Knight, however, these don't really have much description. I'll just go ahead and show you. But however, the Black Knights who wander Lordran used to face Chaos Demons. All the Black Knight weapons just say that. You know, just this weapon of the Black Knights who wander Lordran, and that's it. So nothing special in regards to those. But I will be showing off the Black Knight Halberd, as well as the Great Axe that we have here, which actually is kind of interesting. I'll show that off in a bit. And the Black Knight Greatsword is the other thing. And very much earlier on in the playthrough, I think I got the sword drop, so I have already shown that off quite a bit early on, I believe. Okay, anyways. Fangbore Helm. Oh, I hate this stupid looking thing. Let's go take a look at this, wherever it happens to be. Heaven forbid it be easy to find. Fangbore Helm. Severed head of the fully armored Fangbore, taken by the one who killed it as proof of his victory, just as the gods once did with the head of the ancient dragon. So apparently the gods used to walk around with big dragon helmets on top of their heads. It is interesting that the severed head of the fully armored Fangbore. It almost seems to imply that you're actually wearing its, like, meaty head on top of your head. Like you just wedged your head up inside of its neck hole or something. Now, why exactly was it armored in the first place? I'm guessing that the gods actually put these things here, these armored Fangbores, as a way of protecting it, or maybe Seath did. You know, I guess those are our two options. Either the gods put it there to protect the way to him, or Seath himself put them there, or the channelers did, I suppose. Or maybe someone put them there later to seal up the area, to keep people from actually entering and encountering Seath or something. But considering that the channelers have to use this area to go back and forth in order to collect their delicious maidens that they keep collecting, then most likely they are servants, or placed there by Seath, or at least by the gods, or there's some sort of arrangement or something. And I only want to mention that just because of the fact that since we encounter one nearby the parish church, that maybe there is some sort of association with that and Seath, maybe, considering that we also find a channeler there. So maybe that, I don't know, it's a very loose connection, but it is a connection nonetheless. Okay, one on the head is a surprisingly sound piece of protective gear. Take one look at this thing, and you can probably tell immediately why it is that I don't actually enjoy using it. And by the way, with the Ring of Fog, a lot of these models kind of flip out, because you're not supposed to see big giant blocks of non-rendered things, polys, in the middle of the masks. Yeah, kind of stupid. Kind of fucking stupid looking. Kind of fucking stupid looking. But it is what it is. Some people like to use it because Dark Souls 2 logic has to be hilarious. Okay, what the hell was I doing? Oh yeah, Wanderhood. Because I thought the Wanderhood actually blends pretty nicely with the cape on the back. Anyways, let's go kill this mate over here. His, I don't know, let's say that one was the male and this one's going to be the female. Listen to that gentle purring. It's comforting. It's almost like purring of a kitten. Almost kind of sad to kill you, my fair lady. Let's go ahead and see if the mace has any bonus damage versus her. And then after that, we'll just torture her a couple times. Okay, get to trigger that. Be careful of the hind legs. And there is kind of a disadvantage of getting her out into the open, because that can backfire on you pretty quickly. Now see, actually just completely plowed through my stamina just then. Let's see. Yeah, just 71, so pretty much nothing. I did gain a little bit of damage versus her. Goodness. It has red eyes. It's probably just a generic, ooh, it's menacing kind of thing. It would be nice if that actually meant something, though. Originally in the concept art, Black Iron Tarkus actually had red eyes as well. Let's go ahead and use Firestone, why not? Yeah, that's good enough. I just barely reached her. Oh, you have another one? Fangborn helm, for God's sake. I'm gonna leave this piece of shit on the ground. Oh, by the way, I have, whenever I think I recorded a separate little bitty piece where I actually started showing off the armor. It's been like 2 days since I've done that. But I have, fully upgraded things all the way now. A few of the, like, armor and stuff, and some of the weapons, or actually, yeah, some of the weapons were only upgraded to, like, plus 10 instead of plus 15 and so on. But they are fully upgraded now. You know how long it takes to upgrade every weapon and armor in the game? I don't even have all of them yet. Keep in mind. I'm waiting for some of the other ones. And this does not cause the boars to respawn. They're gone forever. It takes a very long time. It takes like, I can't remember. I timed it a long time ago. But say if you set all your Titanite and whatnot to infinite, into your souls to infinite and so on, and just leave a macro running, it takes like, I think, an hour and a half to upgrade everything in the game. It is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Up we go. Up we go. So long, little Cthulhu-looking inscriptions on the wall. And up the elevator we go. Well, a completely different elevator than the ones that we've been seeing in the game. Like the mother and child elevators, I call them. Completely different. And I think this may be the only place in the game where we actually encounter ones that look just like this. So kind of interesting. And there's a Chandler in the background just dancing up a storm. And that was actually I have that. Hold on, I actually showed that off. Because this is another thing that I went ahead and cheated in, but I'll probably never even use the damn thing. See, I don't even have the stats to use it. I think it's, what is it? Yeah, okay. But you can two-hand it and do this lovely little dance what people love to do in their PvP videos because it's so funny. And what that actually does, I think it gives a damage buff is what that is doing right there. Okay, what the hell was I doing? I was going to show... No, okay, I didn't need to use the hammer anymore, so actually I needed to come in here anyways. Yeah, let's just go back to the halberd. Okay. But into the Duke's Archives. I fucking hate this place. And I hate this place mostly because of these guys. Well, I take that back. I hate this place mostly because... Again, I'm a completionist. If you don't care about any of the items in this area and you're just kind of rushing through just to rush through, it's actually pretty easy to get through it as quickly as possible. Fucking arrows. The main problem is that if you actually are a completionist, it takes forever, absolutely forever, to really... It takes absolutely forever to get through all of the little bitty staircases that you need to turn and all the enemies that are constantly assaulting you. It is just a huge pain in the ass. Bleh. And these guys, much like some of the hollows that we, like the torch hollows, for example, they have a couple of animations in which they have almost no startup frames whatsoever. So they can hit you very, very easily. And let's go ahead and clear out this one last guy so that I can talk at length about all the stupid bullshit we're going to find in here. Okay, there's a couple more things. Fucking Chandler. He was just waiting, just furiously masturbating, just waiting for the chance to do that. Okay. And I don't think, since I'm wearing the rings, then the other ones haven't seen me quite yet. And that's something I wanted to point out in regards to this. Keep in mind, of course you don't have any context for this, so I guess this is kind of fruitless. But you'll notice that the Ring of Fong, the Slumbering... It doesn't make you invisible. Like, of course, the Slumbering Dragon Crest ring, if you only wear that, then it's going to be completely worthless if they can physically see you. And the Ring of Fog is going to be completely worthless if they can hear what you're doing. Like, if you're rolling around directly behind them and breaking tables and whatnot, they're going to turn around. Wear both of them together, and that is optimized as far as stealth goes. It's kind of unfortunate that you can't really get both of them very early on in the game. It takes a fair amount. You have to get the Sense Fortress, and you have to get into the Force Hunter Covenant, and then you can do it. So it's kind of unfortunate that it takes so long to get everything gathered together for that sort of thing. Which is a complaint that I sort of have in Dark Souls games, is that if you want to play a certain way, sometimes you have to wait completely until New Game Plus to be able to do it, which kind of ruins the fun of doing it in the first place. Anyways, in regards to this place, we entered through the elevator, and now we are in this little column area. Few books on pedestals for no real reason. Why are they here? It's probably related to the channelers. What exactly they're using these books for, who the hell knows. But assuming that this is some sort of greeting area where people would come into the archives maybe to bring books or something, back whenever the gods were still around, then maybe these were here for the sake of, like, a waiting room convenience. Who the hell knows? But the gist of it is that the channelers are the ones that use books in this place. Like, Seath, obviously, probably a little bit too big to actually read this, assuming he had eyes in the first place, which he doesn't. Seath is completely blind. He never had eyes. He uses the channelers in order to see. That's what they're for. That's the reason why they have 6 eyes, as we will learn later on, once we get their armor. So there's that. Quite a bit more in regards to the comments, too. Let's go ahead and clear a little bit out beforehand, though. Pew! And this channeler sees us right away. He is not fooled whatsoever by this ring of fog that we have equipped, which is kind of interesting. Which is kind of neat also, since the channelers are associated with so closely with vision, like being able to see things, and, you know, they're the ones that read to Seath. Maybe not read to Seath, I'll clarify this. Maybe it is that Seath actually can see through their eyes, all the time. They don't clarify one way or the other. I don't know if they might, but it's been so long. I don't think that they do. But I don't think it is that the channelers are actually sitting down and, like, bedtime story with Seath, and they sit next to his bedside, and he's like, read me a story, and the channeler's like, okay, Seath, this is the story of Bible Black, and they sit down and, you know, just read horrible, horrible things to him or something. I think he actually just physically looks through their eyes, so, yeah, while they look at Bible Black, he is also looking at Bible Black, so, if you masturbate, he's gonna know it. Anyways, here's a big golem creature. Seath is the one that makes these things, presumably. They are associated with the, area that we're going to be getting, What? Really? Oh, that's right. Shit, I'm gonna have to do that later. Fuck! But that does work. It works either way. He's supposed to drop something, which I will not mention just now, because I'll wait for that once we get to it. But he was overlooking this little bitty whatever the fuck it is. We'll see another one of these inside, so I'll wait then. Actually, it's over here. There's another one right here. Forgot about you being over here. I don't know what the hell these little bitty urns are, by the way. Maybe they contain the ashes of dead people. Who knows? But this little thing, I don't know what the hell this thing is. It kind of looks like an astrology chart. Like it's something that you would lay a round depiction of the sky on top of and turn and examine the flow of the stars that way as it rotates around the planet. One of those old-fashioned things. Or maybe it's actually something completely different that I don't recognize whatsoever. It's certainly not a potter's wheel, because I worked on those things, and holy shit, do they not look like this? And man, they are fucking messy. What a mess those things are. Okay, come over here, sweetie. I know you see me. I know you want it. Come over here. See, that sort of shit. Like that big leaping attack. Almost no telegraph for that. And that is the worst one by far. That shield bash that they have. Because he just did it. Like, it was almost instant. I don't even know if it even has any frames to its actual startup. If they want to hit you with it, they're going to hit you with it. Like, if I had it, like, if I could just do that over and over again, I could kill someone in, like, half of a second with the amount of frames that thing supposedly has. Anyways, let's see. I'll go ahead and try to clear some of this stuff out. While he's dancing the night away, I guess I'll get in a couple of hits. Oh, there's one hit. I don't know if you die in one hit or not. No. Uncle Plague's reading Bible Black right now. Don't bother me. But that buff that the channeler uses on all of them is quite dangerous. You want to be careful of that. Here's a stair thing, like they use in libraries, that they push around. Even though, for some reason, this one doesn't go side to side, so it doesn't seem particularly useful. It'd be nice if you could move this and, like, wheel around on it, hilariously. Oh, well. But there are library things in this library. Yay. It's probably not supposed to be there. Or is it? I wonder what happens if I... No? Very special book. Wonder what this is about. Nothing has a blank... Oh, well. No lore significance in regards to this floating book. This ghost book is not important. You heard it here first. Please ignore it. Nothing going on here. Nothing going on with the other levitating books that may or may not be inside of this room. But once I show off one room in regards to the library, you pretty much have seen it all. Soul of a brave warrior, someone was here. But there are parchments unrolled. Wow, you're really oblivious to me being here, aren't you? This is the reason why I chose to wear this ring. It's not the most effective place to use this ring combination here, but I figured it would be at least marginally useful. Books laid out, parchment laid out. Still research being done here. It is interesting that they have, like... Wow, look at... Oh, yeah, that feather looks amazing. You're not supposed to look at this too long. And there's the same book. There's the levitating book. Just ignore it. Nothing going on here. From the side, it's okay. You're not supposed to look too closely at this feather. But anyways, yeah, it is interesting that there is a quill here, or at least a bookmark that has a picture of a quill on it that is placed inside of a inkwell. Just let's just stop. Let's not acknowledge that any further, please. So it does implicate that the channelers, in addition to reading things, are also jotting down notes and things. So Seath does not have a gigantic notepad that he keeps things like I do. He just keeps things, you know, the channelers handle all that for him. And this is that white book that we see here. I think I pointed that out much earlier, but that is a reference to the... Can I get my birdwatchers out? Nah, that's not going to help here. But what was the name of this book? I can't remember. This is his actual cover. It's a French book that they always love to reference, and it's in Dark Souls 2 as well, I believe. Anyways, that is an ongoing thing. It doesn't actually mean anything. The titles of the books don't really mean anything. It's like, if you zoom in, you're not going to find some hidden lore significance or anything. They're just real-world books that they use because they like reading them in real life. It's just that thing. Okay. Who's firing? Oh, yeah, the guy's on the stairs. That's what that is. But in regards to the actual library itself, nothing really going on here. Actually, let's go ahead and get my bird watchers and try to look at a couple of these books just to show them off. Someone pointed out that my playthrough is actually nowhere near close to what William Pass was of Dark Souls 2. But it's still kind of nearing... It's like within like 15-20 hours. So I think it's time I slowed down. Don't you think? Don't you think? I think so too. I think so too. But unfortunately, all the things here are a little bit too blurry to be able to actually see any of the text on here. And even if you could, like if you just view the textures directly, you can't really make out much of anything. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that the words and stuff are not really important. They're just there. They're just pulled in for the sake of modeling from random sources, probably Google image search once again. But they do look pretty nice. You can obviously, I mean, they're obviously all duplicates, but, you know, very well made. I really like the overall aesthetic of the library. I hate actually having to traverse it, but it is a very nice looking area. And we're going to be seeing all these tables and stuff all over the place. So research is still going on, which seems kind of usual. If Seath had gone completely mad, like if he was just batshit insane, slinging his arms everywhere, wow, 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 yeah, all the time, like he was Kermit the Frog or something, just doing his Kermit arms all over the place all the time, and, you know, spraying crystals in every which way, whatever he does, then he would not be, you know, the channelers would probably still not be out looking for people. They would not be out, abducting people like Rhea and things like that. So Seath, while he is mad now, he does seem to be mad in the sense that he's kind of just up to no good. Like, he's not behaving himself anymore because he's kind of just nuts, a little bit nuts now. He's not crazy, he's just kind of nuts. Sort of like my dad. Sort of a lot like my dad. Listening to crazy-ass conspiracy theory radio every day, as loud as he possibly can, turning up the volume because I need to hear it because he thinks it's important information, even though it's not. Fucking hollows. Oh, I guess I should mention that these guys are made out of crystal. Yep, they are. Look at them. They're hollows. They're humans that have been crystallified and they have like crystals shooting out of their eyes and stuff. And that's pretty much it. They're just special Seath brand hollows. That's pretty much it. Nothing much to say about that other than I guess that crystals are a way... Crystals are a signifier of power. You know, whenever you use magic, whenever something has crystals associated with it, usually that means it's related to Seath in some way, and it is quite powerful. The golem creatures also seem to be associated with it. I get the impression that they are constructs in their own right. By the way, the giants in Anorlando, I know I said in the past that they might be constructs, but the more that I farmed those guys quite a bit as well before I started recording, because I was just bored and didn't feel like recording. They bleed quite a lot, and of course I pointed out before that they actually gain the bleed condition. So I'm kind of leaning more towards, I mean, they are illusions, of course. Whenever you dispel the illusion, they also vanish. But they do seem to be illusions of actual giants. Now, whether those giants are just giant people, or whether they are the actual race of giants, and what the race of giants even are, we don't know, is left up to your imagination. Here's another vantage point. Nothing really overly special going on down here. You can sort of vaguely see the impressions. This is a different skybox, obviously. You can see impressions of Anorlando down at the bottom there. I think that actually the Duke's Archives up here is the wonder if I can see it from here. Is the not quite yet. Is the highest location in the world that you can actually get to. Can't see it quite yet. I want to see that fucking door. I want to see that fucking door. You guys must be really confused about that. I think it's, yeah, it is right there. Just not being rendered yet. Oh well, I'll get to it eventually. Maybe not even this part. I'm not going to get through the Duke's Archives very quickly, because I really hate this place because of all the fucking hollows, all the goddamn place. Anyways, is that it in regards to this? Let's get to another comment while I'm thinking about it. Should I go ahead and do that? Yeah, in a second. Okay. Joseph NM says, I do agree that it is rather silly that armor doesn't do more for you in the in Dark Souls, and for that matter, video games in general. But if they did make it more realistic, it would make you nearly impervious to some forms of attack. I agree. I agree completely. And I'm very mindful of that whenever I do talk about the idea of, like, in the last part I was talking about the idea of two-handing weapons and how you can really only do that without armor, which is contrary to real life, because armor is a shield that you wear over your body. That way you don't need a shield in the first place. I agree completely. And it is very understandable that whenever you get hit and wearing full armor, obviously you're just not invincible. Which is why I think that if making sort of, like, the ideal Souls game for me has not existed yet. One that is, you know, just does not have any of the flighty nonsense that I consider to be nonsense, like Bloodborne. Bloodborne is almost character action in some ways. The Souls game that I've always been wanting for is more about armor and things like breaking poise, and it would almost be in some ways more like a wrestling game. It's not as far as the moves and things, like you're not suplexing people and whatnot, but just the idea of it being more based, like the old Aki games, for example. It's based more on, like, stamina and control and things like that. I would actually have to write up a design document sometime, which I've considered doing, because I'm a big nerd! I've considered doing a design doc for a theoretical version of that sort of system that I'm thinking about. But the overall idea that I am considering with it is that you wouldn't really have health exactly. Your health would be more of a system of poise that you could actually break. And it would almost function in some ways like a mech game, in the sense that you can damage individual body parts. It would be more like that. It would be much slower, more about the strategy of where exactly you're trying to attack. There would be a lot of grappling, trying to get people on the ground, attacking very specific spots of their body, like getting someone on the ground and actually going into sort of a first-person view as you try to do a, like, major riposte, assuming that you're breaking their poise to the point that you can actually get them on the ground, and trying to aim it, you know, correctly at the right spot and things like that. This mechanics sort of like that, maybe that like that specifically. But you get the idea. It would be a very, very different game from anything that you encounter, like, as far as the Souls games are concerned. I've been waiting for that, and no one is ever going to make a game like that. Now I'll wait for the comments for, this game is that exactly. No, it's not. You're a liar. Filthy liar. Okay, let's go up. I've been waiting on this. Because I wanted to point out that yes, you can skip the entire first little Seath cutscene area. This is kind of an irritating part in which you must die. Like, you absolutely have to die in order to progress, as far as the game is concerned. But there's an alternative way of doing this, and I guess I can go ahead and try to show it off. I've never actually done this, because I've never really wanted to bother, because it actually, sequence breaking like this does kind of fuck up your game in some ways. But you can, pull that, drop down. I didn't quite get it, see. You're supposed to be able to drop onto the railing and then jump off onto that. The little balcony area that you see up there. I think I'll give it one more try and then I'll stop. Because I am going to go straight to Seath, because that is a story moment. And I need to make sure that I actually show it. I'm not going to need all this Estus. And there's also an encounter up here that I want to show off as well. Kind of interesting mechanisms. It appears whenever it goes all the way up top, these... Are those always on the... I'll watch that whenever the animations plays, but it kind of looks like it spent a lot down. I think about really nerdy shit, you know? Okay, let's see if I can get it. No, it didn't quite work. Those speedrunners are way better at it than I am, that's for damn sure. Oh well, I'll take this moment to read another comment. Still Life 8, Keith, I'll keep calling him that because I feel like it, says that he can give you the power of Life Drain, which according to him is the legendary power of the Dark Lord. Since that implies that there was a Dark Lord before you who had this power, possibly even more than one Dark Lord. That's something that I did want to mention in my commentary, but like I said during part 20, his dialogue went by so quickly that there was a couple of parts that I missed, and that was one of them. That was something that I had wanted to talk about, but he rushed through it so quickly that I kind of just glossed over it. There probably wasn't another Dark Lord or anything like that, but it is interesting that he refers to Life Drain as being a legendary power of the Dark Lord, like it's something that people are supposed to know about in the first place. So maybe he's just filling your head full of lies, or maybe it's, you know, just... Maybe like assuming that it's Manus. Maybe that's something that Manus actually did back in the day. Who knows? Who knows? But I guess Keith would know way better than any of us do. As far as another Dark Lord existing, I don't think so. Because that's the whole concept of the game. Is that you're trying to become the Fourth Lord. And along with that, I will read off, the salesman says, I have always thought that Keith's use of the term, the Fourth Lord, was odd. The implication that there is that he doesn't consider the furtive pygmy Manus to be a lord. True. One thing I will point out that the DLC may have tread upon that idea originally by introducing Manus and trying to imply that he is the Fourth Lord, is that the whole idea is that since the Dark Soul scales in power with the weakness of the Light Soul, then there can't have been a Fourth Lord exactly. Because whenever the furtive pygmy got the Dark Soul, he noticed, hey, this thing isn't doing jack shit. But Gwen over there is just overflowing with sexual energy. How come mine's not working? He was not the Fourth Lord. That's the reason why he was the furtive pygmy. He was waiting for the Age of Man to come along. And to get around this, he disseminated himself amongst other pygmies and created humanity. And that's where humanity came from. So, that is, he's being quite literal whenever he says he wants to create the Fourth Lord. Hello, buddy. He's trying to create the Fourth Lord. Because there hasn't been one up until this point. Because, remember, Manus, if we're assuming that the furtive pygmy is Manus, didn't have the power that he had whenever the actual lords existed within history. And even within the context of the DLC, assuming that it's not treading upon the existing lore that was established in the core game, then even then, it's heavily implied that he became something as a result of the encroachment of the Abyss. And that it's also a result of the Age of Fire dwindling in the first place. Okay. This guy, not much lore in regards to this guy. We'll be getting his armor later, and we'll look more at it then. But he is defending the Seath for God knows what reason. And I wish there was more to say about him, other than he's a big crystal weirdo who doesn't see me just yet. Hello. Hello, you see me now? There we go. Yeah, there we go. But you can see, aside from the crystals, it would be nice if this armor existed without them. Oh well. Running attack. No. No, cut that out. And you can also see that he is quite heavy. And what is he using there? He is using a crystal weapon, of course, but I can't see what its base is. Looks sort of, almost looks like a broadsword. It's really hard to tell because I'm looking at it straight on. Oh well. But he's not too bright, not too much of a threat. Just back up. He's just there because you're probably turning this corner very, very quickly, and as a result, you're probably going to run into him right away and get your face cleaved right off. Okay. Oh, I forgot about you, you little bitch. God, I hate those fucking things, because they always disappear out of nowhere. I don't even need this shit, but whatever. Whatever. Fucking crystal fucking lizards. We're going to be encountering a lot of those damn things, that's for sure. Okay, let's see. Let's get to a few more comments before I go right into here. Just, I'll point out, as we go further up this thing, we're going to be getting more and more crystals. Because we're getting closer and closer to Seath, who is inexplicably inside of this room for some reason. And we can come back to this room later, and obviously he's not going to be here. So, and it's kind of weird. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take this off. And this is the only time in the entire game that I'll actually use one of these things. So let's go ahead and splurge and use a rare ring of sacrifice. By the way, I'll point out, ring of sacrifice, it says so in the descriptions here. But lose nothing upon death if the ring breaks. And the rare ring of sacrifice is die, lose nothing, nullify curse, and the ring breaks. So this protects you against not only death, but curses and, you know, I think that's it. Just curses? It's been a... I never use these, so it's been a long time since I've even thought about it. But you probably want to use the rare ring here because the danger is that Seath will... He uses his breath attack to kill you. In this mandatory death fight, you can't do anything to him. Like, even if you use like a train or a cheat engine or something to lock your health, he doesn't take any damage. You can even, you know, set his health down to 0 if you want to, and he just won't die. He's a big fat cheater, big asshole, can't do anything about it. Okay, but a couple more things. I wanted to get through as many comments as possible because I really wanted to reward you guys for actually having some really good discussion in the prior part. Wait. No, I already read that one. Okay. Half-Hearted Thunder says, I've always interpreted Catherine Fram to be personifications of a beautiful lie and the ugly truth. And he goes on to mention wabi-sabi, pronouncing that correctly, which I actually didn't know about that. Wabi-sabi, again, if I'm pronouncing it in the most redneck way possible. Wabi-sabi. But the Japanese do have this concept of wabi-sabi, and that is beauty via imperfections, basically, to summarize a very complicated concept. But I just wanted to briefly say, yes, I've kind of touched upon that before, and I think I even left him a comment in that regards. But we have come across many different interpretations of what exactly the light and dark soul happen to be, and I just wanted to briefly go over some that we have touched upon so far. One is, yes, the idea of it being a beautiful lie versus an ugly truth, and of course there is obviously, you know, good versus evil, which I really don't buy into too much, but that's one interpretation. The spiritual versus the physical, since the dark soul is associated with the abyss, which is associated with physicality. Glory versus acceptance. Victory versus, say, peace. And decay versus absolute nothingness. Now, there's a lot of different interpretations of what exactly the light soul and dark soul happen to be, but I just wanted to make absolutely sure that we have been touching upon all of them, and I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that even though I might say something in regards to how I feel about both of those things and what their narrative significance may be, that doesn't mean that what you are thinking of yourself is wrong. Because again, like I've said in the past, we're not necessarily trying to figure out exactly what they are physically, like literally, what their mechanics are in the game, so much as the idea of the dark race, that's originally what the game was called, the dark race, of what the dark race, or the dark soul, and what the light soul happen to be, so that it gets us to think about what life is like, you know, what the philosophy of how you live and what your decisions are happen to be. That's what it's supposed to be about. There's the reason why I like the game. Some people may complain that we're reading too much into it, but to me, there's... Oh, thank you, downloads. My replay of the latest UK game is done. Thank you, March Madness. Yeah, that's what we're supposed to be thinking about in regards to, the Dark Soul itself. Whenever we're going to be at the end game, we're confronted with this knowledge, we're going to be coming back to all these things. Beautiful lie, ugly truth, good, evil, spiritual, physical, glory, acceptance, victory, peace, decay, nothingness, reading off my monitor on the side. We're going to be looking at all those things, and we're going to be trying to review what we feel about each of the components of the soul, and why we will make the decision that we do. Rather than just walking up like most people, and either sticking our hand in the fire and going, well, that was something, or walking out and going, well, that was something. We're leading up to the point where we actually need to try to understand what is happening, and try to make a determination over whether or not we made the right choice or not, and whether there is a right choice, and so on. Okay, let's go ahead and get this over with, and then I'll try to get through another couple of things. But let's just go ahead and get this shit face over with. See the Scaleless. Big dumb dragon, fuck you, buddy. Let's just stand here and let him go ahead and kill us. The little curse meter there, you can... Oh shit, my health is so high that it's... Nah, I should probably be okay. Oh, there it goes. Okay, it's dropping a bit faster now. But yeah, even if, say, you lock on with... Let's go ahead and... Yeah, let's go ahead and use Fireball, I guess. If I can reach him. Like, even if, say, it's not doing anything to him. This is a mandatory death fight. You can't do anything with it. You can see briefly that this is another sort of library area that he is absolutely infested with his crystal nonsense. But that is mandatory death, you have to do that. So if you've ever come across that and been like, oh, was that optional? No, it's not a thing where, like, if you're good enough, you can beat him, you don't have a choice. You have to die either way. But, once we're killed, this is probably the most unusual thing. And, there's a comment about this. Let's see. Okay. Severin... Oh, Lord, this name. What have you done to me? Severin 12 Witchblade says, any theories on how we actually get back to the bonfires when we die? The reason I bring this up, after Seath kills you for the first time in the archives, he somehow overrides our last rested at Rule, and throws us in some dank cell. As far as the theories go in regards to how exactly... You know, be sure to like this and sit at it, by the way. As far as how that works, this is probably just, you know, FromSoft, just doing a thing. Don't worry too much about it. Let's go ahead and throw... Where is it? Down all the way down here? Yeah, it's down here. Go throw that back on. It's just FromSoft doing a thing, I imagine. They just wanted to have this moment. As far as the actual mechanics of how you revive at bonfires, we don't know. Kind of the thing I think about is... Since all the bonfires are linked with the first flame. Like, they're not extensions of the light soul or the dark soul, even though they're powered by Gwen's soul, which is the light soul, and they're also powered individually at each single bonfire, as far as the Rite of Kindling goes, with Humanity's, which is, you know, the dark soul. They are all... And, of course, I will point out that, as far as revivals go, humans, obviously, are the only ones that revive, because they're the only ones that are afflicted with undeath. So it may have some association with the Dark Soul, and I say that because what soul would be relegated to reforming your physical body? It would be the one that was most associated with physicality, right? And which one's that? It's the Dark Soul. So maybe there's some relationship with that. That maybe the reason why that you're reforming at a bonfire is because it is associated with the Dark Soul, and that's the reason why it only works on humans, or something like that. Why it does it? Who the hell knows? Maybe it's because since you sat down on it and you have linked yourself with that extension of the first flame that happens to be there, for some reason, whenever you die, you just revert back to it. For some reason. Who the hell knows? But anyways, remember the sleeping snake man in Sin's Fortress? They decided to use that once again for this guy. Bam. You can attack him through the bars, and considering that they really made sure that he had no ragdolling, that way he didn't accidentally flip out and go flying over to the edge or something. But you can go ahead and pick this up. This is how you get out of the cell. This is almost like this is a really silly thing that's going on here, if you think about it. The idea of just, they threw you in the cell with all your weapons, and then the guy with the key is sleeping, and you shiv him through the bars with a Black Knight halberd. Does that seem kind of slapsticky to you? Ah, well. Who cares? We'll not worry about it. Archive Tower cell key. Let's go ahead and take a look at this, if I can find... Oh, it's right there. Thank you, Archive Tower cell key. Usually whenever I... there's a couple of keys that I've... There's a key down in the bottom we'll get to in the next part that contains Logan, now that he's gotten himself locked up as well. That I usually cheat in because it's on the other side of the map, and it takes forever if you're a completionist as well. So usually I use the I think this key, actually, after I'm done with it, and transmute it in Cheat Engine. That way I can unlock him right away. That way I don't have to backtrack across the entire level. And then I'll revert it back to the Archive Tower cell key once I'm done, and once I've retrieved the actual tower cell, or the actual Logan key. Huh. Yeah, I'm a bastard like that. But I really don't feel like backtracking across the whole level. Especially as you've already cleared it. There's not even any enemies. It's not hard. It's just a waste of time. An oversight on FromSoft's part. Anyways. Archive Tower cell key. The Archive Tower, once a trove of precious tomes and letters. Letters, interesting. Became a prison after the onset of Cease's madness. The serpent men who guard the prison know not the value of what they hide. In the basement of the tower are the writhing mistakes of the terrifying experiments which were conducted there. So in Cease's experiments, he's been experimenting on probably exclusively humans, although, yeah, kind of iffy in some ways. But probably exclusively on human, usually seems to be associated mostly with female humans. The ones that we're going to be meeting down at the bottom are going to be, I'll get to it more in depth later, but they're Guinevere's handmaidens. But the mistakes of his experiments are the Pasakas that we're going to be finding down there. So what exactly his end goal happened to be, we're really not certain exactly. But maybe it has something to do with crystals. Maybe it has something to do with crystals. Where exactly the Serpent Men came from, the game never mentions, because, again, they're just a Kingsfield reference that probably have no business being in the game. FromSoft wanted them, so they put them there. Let's just say that Seath did it. Just like Dark Souls 2, if we find something that's weird, Seath did it. That's what it was. Okay. In regards to this, really nothing overly interesting. Just precious tomes and letters. Letters I will point out just because it seems to indicate some sort of back and forth in regards to the archives in the outside world. I just wanted to point that out, that at one point, and this should be pretty this should be obvious, that the library at some point was a place of learning for both Seath and, maybe humans, but, gods. The gods. So there was some back and forth in regards to that. Letters, maybe, you can say that they just collected letters, but really, if you want to be pedantic about it, you can go ahead and be pedantic about it. But I'm going to say that the library used to be a place where everyone went to. And that was part of how Seath accumulated all this knowledge. He didn't send the channelers out and they just stole things. I assume that this was a place where people always used to come. And this is where everyone used to learn and whatnot. Probably might have been associated with New Londo, whenever that was a place that was booming at the time. Who knows? I think that's it in regards to that. Yes, the value of what they hide. But the Serpent Men are hiding something. Who guard the prison know not the value of what they hide. I don't know, what exactly is Seath hiding? I mean, there's the crystal we'll get to later, but that's kind of a weird way of phrasing it. Oh, I'll think more about that later. Anyways, this is that. And this is kind of a shitty place to end for me, because I can't really leave. I think, yeah, see, this is just like the one of the Painted World of Parallamas. This one is also cut off. Why is it cut off? Magic! Who the fuck knows? This is an unfortunate place for me, because I can't really relax and farm things in the meantime without actually getting too much. I guess I can just run around and kill things and just do that for a while. I just wanted to point out that there's also these dickheads inside of here, who are also a big problem. Come on, sweeties. Fortunately for me, I'm using the ring, so they don't really bother you too much right away. But you do want to make sure that you don't... Do you? Yeah, okay, you do. That's right. No, I thought I heard something, sorry. Alright, anyways, these guys do drop these shitty crystal weapons that I'll I shouldn't be picking things up from these guys, because I really don't need anything else in the game. I would recommend bringing 100 resistance shield along with you anytime that you're fighting this area, because these guys, you can't dodge them and stuff. You can operate with pretty high amount of clearance, but especially if you're like using a shorter range weapon, like if you're playing a flighty bandit character that uses a knife, you're going to be in for a treat. Won't worry about it too much. But we don't have the key for this just yet. Okay, one last question, I think, before I end this. And after that, we'll worry about the snake man outside in the next part. D. Glad says, maybe Kaith says that life drain can be used to cast off the shackles of your brethren. He actually means that he sees humanity as shackles. That was kind of weirdly phrased. And whenever I wrote this down, I had more of an idea of what I wanted to talk about. I tried to write down as much as possible because I knew I would come across this problem again. But I wanted to raise the question of what does the Dark Age, like a theoretical Dark Age of man, the thing that Kaith actually wants, what would it entail? What would happen during a Dark Age of humanity? But in regards to what he says, I wanted to make sure I pointed out that this sort of Dark Age would necessitate people taking one another's humanity to maintain their own immortality. Because, obviously people that are undead kind of lose themselves over time, and they need to take other people's humanity in order to maintain themselves, their own sense of self. So whenever Kaith is talking about life drain and casting off the shackles of his brethren and whatnot, since D-Glad pointed out, maybe he means humanity as being shackles, like the actual humanity inside of us or something. I just wanted to point out that it seems to actually be the reverse of that, and that he wants people to be taking their humanity. And I thought that was interesting just because what would happen if we have a Dark Age of man? Then all the people that are left will be people that are undead, right? And eventually, they will just be taking one another's humanity to the point that over time, eventually we'll just be left with absolutely nothing, most likely, right? Another effect of the Dark Age of Man, it might result in the first flame dying out entirely. One of the things that Dark Souls 2 kind of fucks with is they say, you know, it doesn't matter what choice you make because Asia, everything's eternal, everything's just a big circle, and it doesn't matter at all. That's bullshit. In Dark Souls 1, they make it very clear that you can lose everything entirely. That's the whole decision. You either preserve the Age of Light, even though it's a lie, even though it's illusion, or you can allow it to die, and that will create an Age of Darkness. It's an Age of Darkness because there is no first flame. That's what it is. Again, Dark Souls 2, bullshit. Just don't worry about the whole idea of it being impossible and everything being cyclical. That's nonsense. Just forget that ever happened. But in regards to this, maybe if we have a Dark Age and no one is relighting the fire, that will eventually cause the first flame itself to die out entirely, which could, you know, also ruin humanity, because the Dark Soul is linked with the first flame, even though it also seems to have some sort of association with the Abyss, which may or may not be a different thing entirely. We'll get more into that in the DLC areas. So that could result in there not being any Greylands, not being any Asgardian World of Light, and there not being any abyssal dark regions either. That maybe we will return to not only... we may retain the Abyss, I don't know. This is kind of what I'm getting at. That maybe the reason why Kaith wants this to happen is not because he's looking out for humanity's best interests, but maybe because he wants to ensure that the First Flame does not continue to exist. That way, the Abyss from which supposedly the serpents come from will perpetuate across all of eternity, and there won't be any Greylands, there won't be any Light World, there won't be any, World of Humanity. There will just be the Abyss and nothing else. And they can rule over that with no humans left, because all the humans have exterminated one another to preserve their own immortality. So maybe that's something that Kaith is actually looking for in regards to why he's doing what he's doing. Maybe. Let's see. But aside from that, I think I've kind of gotten all the points across that I wanted to get across in regards to that. Again, I encourage thought-provoking commentary in the bottom in the comments below. Really like I didn't review the comments one last time before I made this video, so I might have missed a few things that you guys have been going over. But I was very impressed, even though I disagree with a few of you, of course. I still appreciate your comments. There weren't any stupid comments, of course, other than people intentionally going, what was it I said? Maybe the bird girls are actually serpents, or whatever the fuck stupid thing I said. There were quite a few people that made that joke. Yes, you're very funny. I know. I appreciate the effort, sweeties. But other than that, I was really impressed with what you guys came up with. I really like it whenever you guys actually consider things like this and look at it from this narrative perspective. Because again, to me, whenever I enjoy games, usually it's because there is something a little bit more than just mindless gameplay. We could just run around as killing snake men from here to eternity, but that's really not going to correlate to ourselves as people, and I'm not trying to be arty-farty or anything like that. But it is nice to have something a little bit more in regards to the games that we play and the things that we do. So whenever you actually sit down and think about things like this, even if you're wrong, even if you have missed some vital piece of information, you're wrong or something, then you have still actually bettered yourself as a person by sitting down and actually considering things that you never would have considered in the first place. And that's why I appreciate things like Dark Souls existing. Because even if Miyazaki didn't foresee all the theories and stuff that could have happened, he did create something that actually provokes thought for once, for people that actually want to think. Of course, there's plenty of people that will just go to the first flame and they'll just light it absentmindedly and go, "What was that?" Because there's plenty of people that did that with the game. But for the rest of us, it does benefit us in many ways, so I appreciate you guys doing it. Okay, I'm going to end it here. And sorry for standing around this time, but like I said, I'm just not in the best mood right now. Thankfully, I was a little bit more zany and insane in the little bits that I recorded before this, in my little cleanup parts in the beginning, so maybe you guys got your fix of insane me at that time. I'm sure I'll be plenty insane by the next time this rolls around. I have to do those. I don't mind drawing for you guys, especially the patrons, but I don't look forward to doing commissions, especially after I'm done doing an animation, because I've just been through so much work already. So right now I'm just kind of tired and I'm just drained, and I want to do nothing, but at the same time I realize I have nothing to do. That's my problem. I keep, usually I occupy myself with work, but whenever I run out of work, and I think, now a chance to relax, the only thing that I can think to do is more work. Because it's just that, or like just watching cartoons all day, which I've been doing. Anyways, that's something for another time. I think I'm gonna go outside and pet some cats and look at a sunset or something, or maybe just jerk off, or I might just like eat a whole frozen pizza. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm just gonna put on my rig of fog and vanish from the world entirely. I will see you guys in part 22. Thank you once again. Have a good day. And emote. No, come on. You're ruining it. You're ruining it. That rest of the bonfire thing always ruins it. Bye, guys. Now to watch Kentucky play like shit and win anyways. Before you know my ass.